Is Arne just the Paul to Klopp's Jesus?
It's an incredibly compelling comparison. Just like Jesus was a little more charismatic than Paul.
Jesus had a good sound bites. Boom!
Probably no church without Paul.
My guest today, I don't like to be hyperbolic, but he is one of my favourite people on the planet. Someone who is truly a tireless force for good. You know him as the acclaimed author of books such as The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska. He's an OG YouTube creator. Honestly, someone who inspires me to be a better person, or at least to push my cart back to the parking lot corral. A masterpiece of a book coming out this week, which is why we're here. It truly is a remarkable piece of work for so many bloody reasons. It's called Everything is Tuberculosis, and he means everything. It shines a spotlight on this disease, which is still so prevalent and so devastating in so many parts of the world. It is so good to see you. Honestly, it feels like the sun has come out in Liverpool in the middle of winter just to be with you. It's my mate. It's Mr. John Green.
It's so good to be with you, Raj.
John, you're a beautiful human being. It's like nourishing to be with you always, but in these times of chaos and challenge more than ever, and I don't just mean for Mikel Arteta. And God bless you for going out and identifying another challenge, another formidable opponent that we have to battle against. And I'll be candid, I spend every day right now, like a lot of us, in a constant state of worry about many things in the world. And after reading your most recent book, Everything is Tuberculosis, tuberculosis has just cracked my 3 big concerns. So thank you for giving me something else to be stressed about.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It should be a concern. I mean, I think part of the reason tuberculosis is allowed to thrive is precisely because we don't worry about it. Like, we don't pay attention to it. And so I'm glad you're paying attention to it. We solve the problems we pay attention to. And I think this is a solvable problem.
Godspeed. Add that to the very small list of solvable problems, because right now chaos for me is falling like snow on snow. And we'll talk about tuberculosis in a moment, discuss what I think is a beautiful, profound and deeply personal call to write it. But first, let's talk about another sickness, Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
This, by the way, might end up just being 40 minutes of endo worship.
Oh, love that man.
But what a season it's been. I mean, after the moment of the season, and by that I mean Everton 2, Liverpool 2, you're actually big enough to text me and say how happy you were for me. Not going to lie, I'm not big enough to match you in this one, but in this world that is currently cloaked in darkness, I am happy for you, for your Liverpool, currently top of the Premier League, 12 points ahead of all comers. How are you feeling in these moments of wonder for your club?
Well, it's never something to take for granted. I remember the Hicks and Gillette days. I remember Roy Hodgson as our manager.
The best Liverpool manager of all time.
Your favorite, by far. Yes, by a wide margin, your favorite Liverpool manager.
Bring it back. Roy Hodgson too, Electric Boogaloo.
So it's never something to take for granted. And every time I get to see these guys play, including Endo, I feel a great amount of joy. And I just enjoy watching them play together. I worry that it's the last dance. I worry that this is the last time we'll see this group of incredible players together, and that we may lose some of our legends.
Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, not coming back.
I'm worried that one of the 3 might not come back, maybe even 2 of the 3.
Possibly. Real Madrid's current right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, not coming back.
Everyone's favorite Real Madrid right back might not come back. But we'll see. It's so special. And Liverpool fans, soak this in. Don't take this for granted. Pay attention to every day. Watch every game you can, because this is special. Now, I'm still not counting my chickens before they hatch. Lots of things can happen.
It's just you speaking out your worst possibilities out loud, so to psychologically try and manage them, diffuse them.
I believe it's called preventative worry.
Yes.
I'm engaging in preventative
90%
worry.
of my life is
yes.
worry.
We're both chronic preventative worriers. But you have lots of reasons to worry as an Everton fan.
My reasons are real. Yours are
real.
Yours are just luxury preventive worry. You just worry because you can.
That's right. But soak it in, soak this in. And to fans of other clubs, I would say, your time will come, because I remember when it was not Liverpool's time. But right now, it seems like it's our moment, and I really want to enjoy this. And, if we can emerge from the first year of the Arne Slot era with a Premier League trophy, that would be pretty special.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And I want to break it down a little bit, but I do need to ask you, I read a book, Everything is Tuberculosis.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some heavy stuff in a heavy time. What does football bring to you, Liverpool in particular? It is a darling moment. There is a light that shines from there, even if it is just the floodlights glinting off Arne Slot's bald forehead. What does Liverpool bring to you in this moment when you know that so much that you care about is burning?
The pitch is flat. The game is fair. And in those respects, it's completely unlike life. The game isn't always fair, of course, but the game is a lot more fair than the world we live in. And so I find some solace in that. Football just brings me joy because it brings me community. When I'm at the Liverpool bar in Indianapolis, or when I'm texting with my buddies about Liverpool, that is such special connective tissue for us. And then when you get to go to a game, if you're ever lucky enough to go to a game, that feeling of jumping up together as one group, of singing together as one group, of feeling your love pointed in the same direction as thousands of other people, that is magic. And so even when I don't share anything in the world with somebody, wherever I travel in the world, if they're a Liverpool fan, they're a friend.
Stop the interview right there. That is the human beauty that I need. I just take with Rory Smith today. He said, I'm a big fan of being around crowds when they just melt, which I'd never thought about before as a phrase. And I can't stop thinking about, he'd just been at Wembley for a tiny blemish, I say, on Liverpool's season. I'm not here to laugh. I'm not here to deride or mock, because I do think what Liverpool have been through, and I do want to talk about it, has been humanly quite transcendent for reasons. And this is not a trap. I'm not about to make a joke. But he'd just been at the Carabao Cup final, which is probably one of the top 3 moments for Newcastle since Greg's added a chicken burger to the menu. It was remarkable to witness. Liverpool heavy-legged, fatigue, but still a miracle of a campaign. And one of the things I'm fascinated by watching that game was how quickly a couple of games of flatness, the PSG loss, an agony, a human trauma, this one, please God, the derby that's forthcoming will make it 3. But it turns the narrative immediately from this is incredible, what we're watching is humanly remarkable, to these players need to be shifted out. These are the areas we need to strengthen. Arne needs to up his tackle. Mo Salah, 0 shots. That human impulse, football ultimately, the big picture joy is rational. And football is both emotional and knee-jerk. Where are you on that journey?
Well, it feels like we have to come up with a narrative every game or two, and there has to be a club in crisis, and they're trying to invent a little mini Liverpool crisis. I don't really buy it. It's 2 games we didn't win, one of which is against a petro state. It's pretty tough to win against those, and
both.
Actually, you're right. Excuse me. Both games we lost against petro states, and that's traditionally a difficult opponent.
So it's a habit,
not just in football, by the way, but also in life. Yeah. And so I don't take it that seriously. The job this year is to try to win the Premier League and give Mo Salah and Big Virg a chance to ride atop a double-decker bus, and to really have the moment that we didn't have in the year where we won the trophy, but we didn't get to celebrate it as a fan community in real life. That's something I really want. I was recording a Vlogbrothers video when Chelsea lost that game or tied. Whatever happened, and we won the game. And I have a video of myself bursting into tears. And I had no idea I was going to have that reaction.
The pandemic year when Liverpool won the title.
The pandemic year when we won the Premier League title. I just happened to have a video of myself bursting into tears because I was watching it in the background. It was so special, and yet it wasn't what it might have been. It wasn't, 500,000 people on the streets of Liverpool. And if we can win the Premier League title this year, that's what it will be.
That's what I was going to ask you. The listeners who are hearing this story for the first time, John has told his football fandom story and been very generous, because I think it's like layers of life that we've shared together through football. Started when you were 12 years old. You had a neighbour who was English. He told you Liverpool were the best thing in the world, and they were at that time in the 1980s. They were probably top 3 things, most impressive things coming out of England since Phil Collins showed the world that you could actually be bald and grow a mullet at the same time. Liverpool won things on repeat, and then they didn't. You suffered. You did suffer through 2 decades of perpetual aspiration and agony, and then you did win that title, that Jurgen Klopp. It may as well, there's a pandemic title, football stopped in the middle. Some would say, maybe me, that they should have just handed Liverpool a giant silver asterisk as a trophy. So can you point towards how this one feels different to the one that you saw before it?
It would feel very different. Again, we haven't won.
The way you've wooded it for me.
We haven't won the title, but it would feel very different.
Wordsmith.
It would, and it would be very, very special.
How will it feel?
it will feel ecstatic. If I'm able to celebrate that with my Liverpool friends.
With no asterisk. Is what
in Indianapolis. There's no asterisk regardless. But if I'm able to celebrate that with my Liverpool friends in Indianapolis in real life, if I'm able to see that parade happen, see those flares, see those Liverpool fans flood the streets, I mean, that's just going to be so, so special.
I was laughing the other day on this show where when Liverpool's first title of the 21st century, with no asterisk, unless World War III breaks out.
It's true.
I'll be like,
yeah, it's true. Hey, there's plenty of time for an asterisk.
Yeah.
We've got plenty could go wrong.
Yeah. Nuclear winter. When you walk through the nuclear winter, hold your head up high or whatever.
Don't be
afraid of the fallout.
Yeah. I have no idea what's going to happen between now and then. So again, I am not counting my chickens before they hatch.
You're coming footballingly or globally, by the way?
Globally. I have no idea if we're going to see May, let alone see Liverpool lift a title in May.
Bite your arm off.
Bite your arm off for May.
Yeah. But we last week at Christmas, you were coming to terms with this complex set of emotions. Jurgen Klopp had just emptied his office desk of every single last vape, put them all in a little box and departed. In came your new Dutch bald dad, Arne Slot. I mean, it was an emotional reality. I mean, you've written before about how you fall in love slowly and then all at once. I mean, that's one of your lines that I live by. And I am blown away because what Arne Slot has done, again, no joke, I find it to be one of the most profound, egoless, transformational acts of leadership that I've ever seen. How easily he's made virtually the same players that Jurgen Klopp had, just tactically a sharper collective. We've talked about this a number of times. Soberslide came on and I said, do you not miss the jumping around of Jurgen? And he said, no, I see a man who has a plan and that plan is working. There's a calm kind of stoic leadership, also egoless. So there's two narratives. Like you could say this season is showing Jurgen with the same players should have won more. Or you can say Slot's merely the inheritor of Jurgen's brilliant gift. Not to be hyperbolic, where are you here? Is Arne just the Paul to Klopp's Jesus?
It's an incredibly compelling comparison because, yeah, he is less charismatic, just like Jesus was a little more charismatic than Paul.
Jesus had the good sound bites. Boom!
Probably no church without Paul. I guess that's a good comparison, Raj. I had never thought about it in precisely that frame. I think it's ludicrous to say that this somehow tarnishes the reputation of Jurgen Klopp. I think it burnishes the reputation of Jurgen Klopp. What I think tarnishes the reputation is if after you leave the club in a state where it doesn't win any titles for 20 years like Sir Alex Ferguson did. I think that changes the reputation of that coach. I think that it says that Klopp left at the right time and that the owners of Liverpool found the right coach.
You impressed with the Paul and Jesus thing?
Very impressed, I have to confess.
I'm trying to step my theological game up.
Pretty good. It's pretty good, man.
Get in there. You can't talk about Liverpool, talking about religious figures without talking about the Egyptian king, Mo Salah. At the end of last season, he wrote on Instagram, quote, "We know trophies are what count. We'll do everything possible to make that happen next season. We will fight like hell," which is just a cliche, but man meant it. He's come back and unfurled one of the greatest single Premier League seasons ever seen. 27 goals, 17 assists in 29 games. As we've hinted, he's remarkably out of contract at the end of this year. Whether or not he is at Anfield for another season, can you put into words, as a human being who feels things, what Mohamed Salah has meant to you?
Well, I think he's meant a lot to me, but he's meant a lot to Liverpool as a city, a lot to Liverpool Football Club as an institution. He's going to go down as a legend of this football club and as somebody who really modeled both on and off the field how to be a superstar. It's not easy. He's a family guy. He loves his kids, seems to really love Liverpool, not just because it's been good to him, but also because he really cares about the city and he's invested in it and invested in the community.
Tell me he's got Scouse daughters, he said.
He's got Scouse daughters. Yeah, exactly. So I would be really, really sad to see him go, and I think it would be the wrong decision because there are very few players like Mo Salah, and Mo Salah should be able to leave Liverpool on his terms when he wants to leave and not a day before.
Zinedine Zidane once said that on a football field there are moments where you know you're going to score before the ball is passed to you. And then he was asked how many times had that happened to him, and he said once. Every time Mo Salah gets the ball on the right, it feels like the ball is in the back of the net before he cuts inside and lashes and deposits there. I mean, it is truly a remarkable thing to witness. Where does he rank for you in terms of the players you've seen pull on that red jersey?
Well, in terms of the players I've seen, he's the best. He's the greatest. I never saw Kenny Dalglish play. I never saw Stevie Highway down the wing, but he's the greatest player I've ever seen in a Liverpool jersey. And that's why I really want him to be able to go out as a club legend. I want him to be there. I want him to have a testimonial game. I want him to be there till he's 38 years old. The guy's fitter than ever. I mean, he's ridiculous. Now football players can play a lot longer, and he's shown an ability to be not just at the top of his game, but at the top of the game.
Top of life. Lucas Leiva, Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah.
Oh, I mean, that's a tough one for me because I love those. I love all three of those players. Bobby Firmino will always be my favorite Liverpool player.
Because
not the greatest Liverpool player, but the most brilliant. He was the genius of the game. He understood, he saw space in a way that nobody else ever saw it, and he was sort of mad in his ability to see space and invent space, and his play on the ball was just beautiful. And the only person who could ever tackle Bobby Firmino was, in fact, Bobby Firmino. Sometimes he'd sort of fall over the ball as part of his genius, but other than that, he was perfect.
Just doing bits.
And then Lucas, Lucas.
You love Lucas. I love Tony Hibbert.
Exactly. Also, a Tony Hibbert never scored.
Yeah.
Lucas scored maybe twice in his whole career for us, but was a brilliant, brilliant player, and still loves Liverpool, and still, in his beautiful broken English, celebrates Liverpool every chance he gets. I love that guy.
They channel the passion of the fan on the field.
Yes.
Lucas Leiva. Hearing you describe Bobby Firmino, he's almost like the Charles Bukowski of football. He's just like a maverick, mad genius.
Yes.
You're just like constantly unfurling human truths. I want to touch upon one other human being, Virgil van Dijk. He spoke recently how he was genuinely surprised that he was the first Dutch human being to captain Liverpool Football Club. Jordan Henderson was the last captain to lift the title with Liverpool before he pulled off that John Cena-esque heel turn and moved to Saudi Arabia. Virgil is a remarkable human being. I mean, I have to say that, even though was it Balaam in the Bible that wanted to say terrible, curse people, but could only say lovely things? That's how I feel in this moment. He smells so good. He looks so good. He's such a genuinely interesting human being. He's almost like a hero from one of your novels. What do you appreciate about him as a leader?
Well, his leadership qualities, I think, are excellent. You know, the way that he captains the team, you only see it on the field, so I don't know what he's like off the pitch, but the way he captains the team on the field is incredible. He's a verbal guy, he's a shouter, but he marshals that defense to be really remarkable this season. I mean, that's where we've been much stronger this season, and so I love watching him play. I feel grateful every time I get to see him play, and I love watching him score. His celebrations are epic. And he's a good goal scorer. In another world, he would be the greatest League Two striker in the history of the world.
Why would he have given that up to play for Liverpool?
I know. Why doesn't he play for AFC Wimbledon? He could score 40 goals a season, no problem.
When he's saying, maybe I will stay, maybe I won't.
It's because he's headed to Wimbledon.
John Green's agenting. We're breaking news here. I do need to quickly ask you, who's filled the Bobby Firmino hole for you, the cult hero of flair and flash and boat varnished teeth?
Well, cult hero has been definitely filled by Endo, but I think the way Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai both play is vaguely reminiscent to me of Bobby Firmino, where they both have a little bit of flair on the ball. They both see space in really interesting ways. They both see passes that I would never see. That's one of the reasons I love watching football, is because I'm still surprised, even after having watched thousands of football games, I'm still surprised when somebody sees a pass that I could never have imagined.
God, I said, but Endo, though, I mean, that statistic that once he comes on as a substitute, Liverpool have conceded 0 goals. Watching him put on his mouthguard ready to come in, it's like seeing the cursed videotape in the ring. You know exactly what it's going to do to you, but you are powerless to stop it. It's humanly magnificent.
That's right.
This Liverpool season has been remarkable to witness. 1 loss in the league so far against Forest, a joy in their own right. You've done the double over Manchester City. What's a life lesson that you've taken from it, John? Because remember, You came on at the beginning of the season. Fear, change. No one likes change. Dad's gone. Pre-season anger. Sign a midfielder. For God's sake, FSG, you're ruining me club. We've started quite well. Oh my God, there's that dark gauntlet of games with the luck's going to run out. We're doing this. We won them all. What? We are where? This is happening. My God, I love our new ball king, Arne Slot. And Liverpool glory. And I do think you've won the title. Like, genuinely, with all my will for darkness, I do think you've won the title. But I'm not going to put you in a position to crown them king just yet. What lesson do you take from that human journey, the doubter to believer Liverpool narrative, but under Arne Slot?
Well, we can all go on this journey, is the thing
Can
that
we?
I think we can. I mean, we think of the hero's journey is traditionally from weakness to strength, you know, like the little kid who lives under the stairs discovers he's the greatest wizard of all time. The girl who's just another girl at school discovers that the vampire loves her too. You know, I mean, that's the story of most heroes' journeys. But we can only go on that journey if we're willing to acknowledge and accept our weakness and our vulnerability. And I think that for me, that's the key. Being able to let your heart get broken, knowing that you can get your heart broken, making yourself open to the reality of experience is so important, because those moments of joy, when they come, means so much more if you haven't worn the armor of irony up until that point.
So what you're saying is that you had to begin the journey with fear, by articulating doubt, by pointing out the potential chaos. Only then, by being the true, honest, flawed self, could you. That's what ultimately what you're saying. You could build upon that.
I think you have to go from doubt to belief. And so I started out this season pretty dubious, I have to say. I didn't think we would be competing for the Premier League title, that's for sure. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, God, we're good this year.
I'm listening to this as an Everton fan thinking, 30 years, that's been a lot of being the boy in the basement, feeling very, very lonely. What is our hero's journey?
Fair enough, fair enough. I think your hero's journey was tying Liverpool 2-2. Congratulations.
By the way, I'm fascinated. There is a moment in your life where it's never going to get better. You don't know it at the time.
Yeah.
You'll never be happier.
Right.
And it can be quite fleeting. That was probably mine, but this is not about me. I mean, I do need to touch on Manchester City. These seasons have sustained excellence. It is shocking to see them just fall off like this. I think they're 22 points behind Liverpool. It's like seeing Francis Ford Coppola get a Razzie. I mean, you once said you felt an empathy for the pain of Pep Guardiola, you know, watching him on the sideline do manic things with water bottles, clawing at his face after losses, which is serious and dark. And when you think about that agony, he's talked about his sleeplessness. But be honest, have you gotten any little ounce of joy out of this?
Look, I'm vulnerable to schadenfreude just like the rest of us. It is one of my favorite kinds of schaden.
Top three.
Yeah, top three schadens for sure. But I remember once I was coming out of Wembley, and AFC Wimbledon, the other team I support, had and sponsor, had just won a game and been promoted up a tier, winning in the playoffs. It was a magical moment. And I saw this kid from the other team, and he was wearing green face paint. He was a Plymouth Argyle fan, and there was a tear streaked through his green face paint. And I realized, like, that kid wanted his team to win just as much as I want my team to win. And I should celebrate when my team wins, and he should celebrate when his wins, and he should be sad when he loses, and I should be sad when I lose. But like, neither of us is better than the other. Like, as your old colleague often reminded me, winning does not make you a better person, and losing does not make you a worse one. And so I think that's really important to remember in football. And when I think of Pep Guardiola, I wish I could give him a little bit of that lesson. I wish I could tell him that, like, winning does not make him a good person, and losing does not make him a bad one.
Green tears, though. Delicious.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I couldn't help. That was one of the best days of my life. And you know what? To be fair, now Plymouth Argyle are in the championship, and that kid's had plenty of times to celebrate.
God bless. I do need a quick word on Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Sisyphus. 5 points yet again, thinking they were going to the sun, but the wax wings burnt off along the way. I think at this point, poor Mikel Arteta, the only thing that's holding him together is the hair gel. John, you've experienced prolonged loss. I mean, you have dreamt and failed. You've let it slip. You even survived the bloody Roy Hodgson days, which I hope would finish you off. What is your message to Arsenal fans?
We finished second so many times in the Premier League era before we finally won a title. It's hard to win the Premier League. And I think that My message to them would be that the arc of history is long, and Arsenal will win more titles. Arsenal are a very, very good football club. They're well coached. They're still pretty young. I'm not worried about Arsenal. Or in fact, I am worried about Arsenal because I'm a Liverpool fan.
Before or after the nuclear winter, will they win the titles?
It all depends on when it happens, Raj.
I've got to push you. It's a yes or no question.
I'm going to say before the end of time.
One more soccer question, because you mentioned Wimbledon AFC, and I'd be a terrible host if I did not tell you the team you've sponsored for over a decade that play with Don't Forget to Be Awesome, DFTBA, across the players' buttocks, on their shorts. After beating Carlisle on Saturday, they are currently in third place, automatic promotion spot. If you do go back to League One for the first time in 3 years, between that and Liverpool, is it possible for a human being to experience too much happiness all at once?
No, I don't think so. I think I will achieve that ecstasy. There's a feeling in football where I'm almost not inside of my body, where like I've almost escaped the prison of the self, and I'm just like a consciousness floating above. You know this feeling I'm talking about?
No, but this is like Sting talking about tantric sex.
Yes, it feels that good.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, as an Everton fan, you've never been able to experience it. But Sting and I know what it's like. And if Liverpool win the title and Wimbledon get promoted, I will not be inside of my body. I will be in some alternate universe where there is only joy and all hope is rewarded.
God, I honestly would long even just to watch it float off there. Just remember us little people.
Yeah.
With our feet down here in the fields of misery.
Yeah. Come with me to Grimsby on May 4th. Maybe you'll get to see it.
Sting, come on and have your say. 646-450-9472. I did mention at the beginning, the beautiful book, Everything is Tuberculosis. It's an incredible read. I learned so bloody much. This is a disease which is so widespread, and the agony is, it is completely curable. Yeah, it's the cause of death for over 1 million people a year, which is a staggering number. It's a heartbreaking figure that you can only begin to understand by writing, quote, "The cure is where the disease is not, and the disease is where the cure is not." John, I mean, you have a lot to deal with in your life. Tell us why you decided to devote a huge amount of your creative being to writing this book, to shine a spotlight on this particular illness at this particular time.
Well, I think tuberculosis is the ultimate disease of injustice. It's a disease that follows the paths of inequity that we blazed for it, and so it overwhelmingly affects the poorest and most marginalized and oppressed people among us. And in the end, like, I didn't write about this because I was so moved by a statistic. I wrote about it because I was moved by one individual human story, the story I tell in the book, the story of my friend Henry Ryder, who lived with tuberculosis for most of his life. You know, over the course of many years of trying to get cured from drug-resistant tuberculosis, took over 20,000 pills, had to live through all kinds of things that he never should have had to live through. All of that because, as you say, yeah, the cure is where the disease is not.
So it was an encounter with Henry in Sierra Leone that led you to do this. In a way, did you write it because you had to? It wasn't a conscious choice. As I read it, I was trying to work out, okay, this is an amazing piece of storytelling. It's deeply devastating. It's actionable. But was there a decision point, or did you write it for an audience, or ultimately you wrote it for yourself, for your own understanding?
I think it is the book I had to write. I mean, I was working on another book, and then I abandoned it to write this because it felt immediate, it felt necessary, and because Henry was so generous in sharing his story with me and asked me to share his story more widely. And so I felt an obligation to do that.
I mean, it's a fascinating book to read. It's so taut. It is so profound. There's so much life truth there. It is an emotional sucker punch that I did not see coming. And it's the kind of book you close and feel utterly devastated in the best of ways, because you marvel at humans' ability to find the cure. You also rage at the inequality, which is still so prevalent, even now. In 2025, some would say especially now in 2025, you discuss your own family's history with tuberculosis. Your great uncle died from it, age 29. Obviously, you retell in deeply detailed way Henry's remarkable personal story and explain how the disease has been perceived throughout history. After someone finishes this book, it takes time to absorb, and it really does take time to absorb what you've read. What are the action steps that you hope that you need to inspire people to do?
Well, the first thing is that just your attention matters. I mean, the reason tuberculosis has been allowed to thrive for the last 70 years since it became curable is because we stopped paying attention to it in the rich world. And so our attention matters. We solve the problems we pay attention to, and we don't solve the problems we don't pay attention to. But also, I think there are actions that we can take. I mean, we can support organizations like Partners in Health that are fighting tuberculosis in places like Lesotho, but we can also use our own voices as people in a society to say, hey, we have another way of raising money and fighting diseases of injustice. And that way is paying taxes. And the United States has long been the most generous donor when it comes to the fight against tuberculosis. And unfortunately, that's changed in the last few weeks. But I believe that we're not at the end of that story. We're in the middle of that story. And it can be really difficult to feel like you're at the end of history. And we've been joking about being at the end of history because it does feel that way some days.
You can only joke about being. I mean, by the way, when you're on the precipice of history, please God, all you can do is joke about it.
Absolutely. But we're in the middle of that story, not at the end of the story. And we have an opportunity to fight for a better end to the story than nuclear winter, than a world where 1.25 million people die needlessly every year of a disease we know how to treat and cure. We can fight for a better end to the story. And I have seen in my lifetime that happen. The year I graduated from high school, 12 million children died under the age of 5. And last year, fewer than 5 million did. That didn't happen because it's natural or inevitable. That happened because millions of people were working together to make the world safer for kids.
Can you tell me, because people are listening to this and they're wondering, should I read this book? My answer to that would be yes.
I agree.
Certainly read this book.
Rog and I are on the same page.
I'm asking myself hypothetical questions. But who do you imagine should be, or who do you hope in your heart should be, identify that so the people who are watching are that, like, John's speaking right to me with the old bat signal here.
Yeah, I really hope that people who like narrative nonfiction will read it, but I also want to be like the first nonfiction book you've read in a long time, or maybe even the first book you've read in a long time. Like, I tried to write this book to make it accessible and tight, and I cut a lot out of it to try to make it fun is a weird word to say, but like Horace 2,100 years ago said that poetry should instruct and delight. It's pretty easy to instruct. It's pretty hard to delight. And I want people to emerge from this story not feeling delighted necessarily. I mean, it is a book about tuberculosis, but really feeling hopeful, really feeling like there is an opportunity for us to build a better world for each other.
So if you don't like hope, don't buy this book. I'm just trying to save you. It's not for you. You don't want hope. Last question for you. You are... it's why it's a joy to be with you. I'm also stressed for you because I know what it's like to do one of these things. You've got to keep moving. You are currently on a coast-to-coast, nationwide book tour, talking about this every day, like James Taylor singing Fire and Rain over and over and over at every concert. You've done these tours so many bloody times. Being on the road can be grueling, can be exhausting, can be quite lonely at times. What elevates one of these stops from a good stop to a great stop, John Green?
It's just the people who are there. I was in Indianapolis, and somebody was wearing a sweater that they'd hand knit that had 2 pairs of lungs, and it said NTB. And I was like, this is remarkable. This is astonishing that people cared that much about my work, that they'll knit a sweater about it. They cared this much about the tuberculosis crisis, that they're going to go around advertising it to everybody who looks at their sweater for the next however long. Like that kind of stuff. Somebody gave me a Taylor Swift bracelet that says TB sucks. Like, all that kind of stuff is just, it's so heartening, and it's a reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And so it is tiring. It is a little grueling. It can be lonely, but it is also a gift. I remember when my first book came out 20 years ago, and the day that came out, I didn't get to talk to you, and indeed I didn't get to talk to anyone. I just went to work. It was a regular Tuesday, and the fact that it's different now is a real gift to me.
You know what? We're going to work with this book to popularize it by you all buying this book until there are more people that look at that bracelet, and when they think TB sucks, they think tuberculosis, and they don't think you just really hate Tom Brady.
That's right. That's our job. That's our job together.
Yeah, we need to change that. Completely and utterly. By the way, what nourishes you? Do you have one essential trick, a tip for the road that you have learned through honing the old John Green skills?
I try to find friends in each town. I try to find people I can connect with who I know from either professionally or personally, or somebody from high school, and connect with them if I can, because that's always a source of joy for me, even if it's just for a few minutes before a show. That's always really nice.
I hope, John, this is the low of the whole experience being with me now. This book is remarkable. If you like hope, and I do believe the Venn diagrams of people that like hope and listen to our crap is almost a perfect circle, please grab this book now, John. It is genuinely a joy to listen to you, to be with you, even greater. I can't tell you the uplift you've given me working with you, listening to you, communing in football. I can't believe you find the time to commune on Wednesdays with me after big games.
I love it. It's the highlight of my week. I love it, Rog, and I'm so grateful to you. I love listening to your stuff, and I find it such a consolation. I love thinking about football because thinking about football means I don't have to think about everything else.
So true. And by the way, all I do is think about football. So I have to get away from football, I have to think about everything else. That's my mate. But to you, to your teams, which I'm really trying to say in the nicest possible way. And most of all to you, but you're a beautiful human being.
Thank you, Rog. Courage.
Courage.